The agenda! The agenda is real! Can we get much higher? So hot. So this is technically a follow-up video on my why I hate One Piece power scaling video, so go ahead and watch that. Agenda piece has to be the most funny, yet the most infuriating aspect of One Piece. For those that don't know, pushing one's agenda means forcing other people to accept your opinions, values, actions, etc., while completely disregarding theirs. And it's done a lot in One Piece, but it's also done in a lot of other medias as well. But this video specifically is about agenda piece, not JoJo's Bizarre Agenda or bloody Agenda Kaisen or whatever. I got a few topics in mind, so let's go straight ahead with the first one. So let's start with the reason why I made this video in the first place. Zoro and Sanji. As I said in the power scaling video, they have to be the most feuded people in One Piece. And it seems you either like one or the other, and you just go on your way. You don't mind the other. But nope, in Agenda piece, you have to hate the other one. So if you like Sanji, you'd have to hate Zoro. Or if you like Zoro, you'd have to hate Sanji. I swear to God, it gets to a point where the fans act more mature than the actual characters. And it's fine, it's absolutely fine if you're not being serious and you're like memeing. But there are people out there that genuinely believe this stuff. Like, I swear to God, these fans think that Zoro can beat everyone in One Piece except Luffy. Or Sanji could beat everyone in One Piece, except Luffy. It's not only that, but it gets to a point where they overlook the flaws of certain characters.
What? It's just an ordinary crabby. Oh my goodness!
Especially Sanji in particular. Like, all the gags where Sanji's being creepy and weird. Like, as a day one Sanji fan myself, I can look at that and be put off. I have genuinely seen Sanji fans, I'll try and find some examples, where they just overlook it. They just be like, oh yep, and they say it's not a problem. Most characters in fiction have flaws that they either need to overcome or they just naturally have. So if you want a show with characters that do everything right and nothing wrong, then One Piece isn't for you. I do recommend the Star Wars sequels, however.
Rey Skywalker.
Wait! I want you to get out of this planet right now.
I'm sorry, Zed.
No way!
You brought
No way!
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here. Out!
Now I brought up the subject of Zoro and Sanji first because the latest chapter of One Piece absolutely squashed the Zoro-Sanji agenda. As well as that, and the previous chapters basically reiterating what we've known for years now, which is that Sanji and Zoro are on equal footing. Elbaf spoiler warning, so just skip ahead. So in Elbaf we were introduced to Scopper Gabon, the left hand of the Roger, the Pirate King, pirates. Before that he was known as Roger's third in command or a second commander in the army. And it's been heavily alluded in this arc that he was the Sanji of the Roger era. Luffy even explicitly states, Sanji, this is you when you're older. Now, you can't always trust Luffy's word when he says things like this, but it's safe to say that Sanji is the left hand of the Straw Hat crew. So anyway, the latest chapter, as of recording this, Gabon mentions the use of Conqueror's Haki, or Color of the Supreme King, if you dig into the translations. And Sanji was like, hey, does that mean I have Conqueror's Haki? I knew I was better than Zoro.
Then try backing it up, sword boy.
And then Gabon just ignored him and pointed to Zoro and said, nah, you got Conqueror's Haki, mate. Funniest thing, Zoro didn't even know he was using Conquerors. And then Sanji was like, hey, Gabon, do I have Conquerors? You gotta tell me. And then while Gabon is talking to Sanji, it cuts to something else. What doesn't cut to something else? It's more like overheard. So while everyone else is yapping, there's a panel of Sanji looking shocked down at Gabon. So from that, I think it's safe to say that the Zoro or Sanji agenda should be put to bed. So in conclusion, Zoro and Sanji are pretty much on equal footing, I'd say. They are the left and right hands of Luffy respectively. Sure, the right hand is a little stronger than left in most cases, unless Luffy is ambidextrous or something. But it's clear Zoro's just slightly stronger. Damn, Daniel! I'm kind of cheating on this one because someone technically recommended it to me. Shout out to the Greenie Beanie. It's not my art, I promise. My art is Green Guy 469. And Nail Glazers are literally something else. They seem to think he's the strongest character in One Piece because 1, he called himself a god, and 2, he's currently on the moon in a manga chapter, I don't know. People say he's got like the strongest Conqueror's Haki in the series, and it's just like, no, he doesn't. To be honest, I kind of understand where they're coming from, not really. Because like, I think they're overplaying the character. I'll give Nail Glazers the fact that he managed to conquer Skypiea, but like, that's mainly because he had an insane devil fruit power that most Skypieans don't really know of. And Enel got beat by base Luffy. And while Luffy did have an advantage, he still managed to defeat someone with observation haki. Speaking of the Enel agenda fans, they think he has the strongest observation haki in One Piece when he clearly doesn't. One look at Shanks, Katakuri, or even Luffy just says otherwise. Like, I'm not doubting he's really powerful, he is, but is he really going to put up with the heavy hitters? Like, if you try to showcase his divineness on any New World island, then I'm sure he'd get one shot by whoever's there. He couldn't even beat the Straw Hats pre-power up. Not pre-haki, pre-power up. In his lobbies when they get their first sort of big power up, like Gear 2, Ashura Zoro, Diablo Jablo Sanji. This was like before all that, so. And as I said before, yeah, I know Luffy had an advantage. He was made of rubber and could counteract his lightning. And I'm not downplaying the Straw Hats either. They're absolute tanks. It gets to a point where it's like, no, Enel won't one-shot all of One Piece. And I'll admit that Gorogoro no Mi is really overpowered, but like as Kaido said, a strong devil fruit is not enough to conquer the seas. You'll need Haki. Only Haki will actually make you stronger. And Enel does have Haki, it's just not as strong as other people. Also look at the old generations. None of them had devil fruits. Most of them had Haki, maybe Whitebeard. But like, we don't know if Rox has one, maybe Rox has one. But Roger, Garp, they didn't have devil fruits. Haki is basically just willpower personified. And I doubt Enel has stronger willpower than anyone in the top 1%. But that's the annoying part about it, because I don't think he's going to be introduced anytime soon. He's on the moon right now, maybe he'll play a major part later on. But right now, he's doing nothing. His glazers have nothing to go by, except his Skypiea feats.
Nothing left!
It's like going into a comment section talking about one thing and someone just brings up an entirely other thing. That's what most Enel glazers feel like. They're not as annoying as Zoro or Sanji glazers though, so they get a pass from me. Shanks vs Mihawk is probably up there with Zoro and Sanji as one of the biggest One Piece debates. And to be honest, I kind of understand it because there's a lot going for both agendas. From very, very early on, they were described as the heavy hitters and the ones that Luffy and Zoro would eventually have to defeat. Maybe less so with Shanks, but Mihawk. I understand the glazing from both sides. Mihawk is literally labelled as the world's strongest swordsman, and Shanks is up at his level. Both characters, even now, are still very mysterious. We have seen a lot more of Shanks' backstory, and we still don't know a lot about that sort of generation. We've seen a lot recently through flashbacks of the Rox era, the Roger era as well, just like when he's ending his journey. And we haven't seen much on Shanks or Mihawk, bar what we've already seen. I'm sure both characters will get their own flashbacks in time. Just end of series, really. Agenda-wise, I'd put them on equal terms. You know, there's arguments for both sides, really, because Shanks and Mihawk have fought before, and Mihawk is still currently the world's strongest swordsman. But everything else suggests that Shanks is stronger. It's really up to interpretation there, so you can have an agenda on that. I mean, there's a lot more wiggle room compared to other agendas. Speaking of Mihawk in particular, brings us on to the final thing I want to talk about.
Fire my sword.
Now, part of the reason I wanted to make this video was to basically just laugh at the meme going around, the upscale memes. You know the ones, you know the one with the Kyurei face, and then people put whatever character over it. Now, it started with Mihawk, basically the meme that if any fictional character had a sword, then Mihawk would defeat him because of the whole world's strongest swordsman position. And I, as well as the whole internet, just found that really funny. But then it started getting out of hand with other One Piece characters. You know, every Mihawk upscale is a Buggy upscale because Buggy can't be cut, obviously. Then that became like Gecko Moria upscale because, you know, Buggy has a shadow. And it just kept going on and on. And it just goes to show my opinion. If that's how you want to push your agenda in One Piece, you know, if you want to be a part of Agenda Piece and not really face any pushback, then just, you know, meme it. Just take the utter piss, honestly. It's hilarious. And that's part of the reason why I do like Agenda Piece. I hated Agenda Piece the time I made my first video. You know, it was the worst thing to ever come out because all it was a bunch of people arguing. Now it's become a sort of thing I actually enjoy because it's whoever basically makes the funniest jokes and can be quite funny, you know? And at the end of the day, you'll never know if someone's being serious or not. And to be honest, I find it akin to something One Piece would actually do. It reminded me a lot of Gear 5 where nothing was being taken seriously and everyone was just having a good time with it. That's honestly what it boils down to, really, when it comes to One Piece. Watching the story, One Piece has never really been about maintaining an agenda. The only person that can create, maintain, and push this agenda is Oda. If you're stuck interpreting his work to suit your narrative, then I doubt you enjoy One Piece that much. Brief sidetrack, but even the chapter with, like, Roger getting heart eyes over Shaki, people were mad. People were, like, really disappointed. All at the same time, Sanji fans kept saying it was a Sanji upscale because, you know, and that's probably why so many people got so annoyed, because the Roger Oda's showing us right now did not suit their headcanon. They didn't think Roger would get heart eyes over Shaki or whatever. But going back to the main point, having a laugh about these things, you know, like having fake arguments or just, you know, one-upping each other in jokes, it's a lot more pleasant than going at each other's throats. So if you like Agenda Piece like me, then just keep at it with the jokes. I promise you, it's a lot more fun than being butthurt over, like, 20,000 other people that disagree with you. Don't get me wrong, you're allowed your own opinion. Like, I'm not saying be this way or be this way. Just be aware that you're most likely setting yourself up for disappointment. Like, I genuinely don't see how you can enjoy One Piece and then hold these agendas so heavily, like hatred for other characters and only this character matters. It will not be fun at all. There's a narrative to One Piece. In the end, only like 1 or 2 characters will end up being at the top. I'll finish this segment off by saying that everything is a pudding upscale, because no matter what title you hold, you can just erase your memory of it.
I'm a slave master, so I know what I'm talking about. Why would it bother me to enslave these wretches? They have no purpose, no creed, no honor.
So what did we learn today? Well, Agenda Piece is bad, but it's also good. but it's also bad. I have a very love-hate relationship with it. And as I just said, it's right to joke about it, but yeah, that's my overall opinion. I'll finish with a quote from the late great Nathwin. Big channel over 1 million subs. Let's just all enjoy watching OP instead of arguing over the internet about useless stuff. And yeah, he just summed up my video perfectly. I've never watched Octopussy though, so I'll take your word for it. Anyway, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Join the Discord maybe? Yeah? You wanna join the Discord? I think you should. Also got a Twitch. If I ever amass a big enough following, I might start streaming on that. Who knows? Also, let me know in the comments any videos you might like to see. I've got a few ideas, a few things, but I'm not 100% sure, like, how fast I can come out with them. And if you want to send me death threats or anything like that, go ahead. I'm all for it. Alright, that's it.
Thank you very much. I feel that Ross handled that situation very well. Can I have my things back? Yeah, although it did make me wonder how well he'd handle a situation more like this.